Hi, Katherine. Thanks for joining us. Could you tell me a little bit about who you are and what your role is within the firm?
I'm the Strategy and Marketing Director at Fieldfisher. And as part of my role, I look after strategic planning, also all aspects of marketing and business development. And increasingly, I've started getting more involved in innovation and transformation projects at the firm.
Great, thank you. Are there some big changes that you see coming in the next 5 years? I'm sure there are lots, but if you could pick a couple and talk to us about those.
So the legal profession, is changing dramatically. I think it has always been changing and evolving. The chat around the business at the moment is all about technological change and how we're using more technological solutions to help us deliver law. So that's one of the big changes, and within that there is artificial intelligence and how many jobs is that going to take away and so on. The other big change is where work is delivered. So you might have seen in the press recently that we have opened a hub in Belfast, and we have a large pool of paralegals working out in Belfast for us. Other law firms have gone offshoring to other countries, and some have gone to more northern locations within the UK. So these are trends that I think will become more and more pronounced over the next 5 years.
Great, thank you. And if I could ask you for a bold prediction for 10 years' time. I know we're gazing into the future slightly, but what do you think might happen in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I guess in 10 years' time, there will still be law firms, just as there are now. But there'll be other different models of delivering legal services as well. So I think we'll see some more process-type operators. We'll see more of the people type businesses like Axiom and other businesses like that. But I think legal technology companies will also start to take much more focus in the future. And I think that maybe even the model of partnership might undergo some kind of change, and that will be driven by the need for much more investing. So financial needs might drive that change.
Great, okay, thank you. The trainees and students, or the future of the law firms, if you could give them some pearls of wisdom, what would they be?
Yeah, so very simple for me, and that is to read. To read as much as you can about business, to read as much as you can about law, and if you have a particular area of passion, if you are particularly interested in legal technology, if you're particularly interested in intellectual property, just read as much as you can, because that will give you a good basis when you're coming in for interviews, when you're chatting with your peers, to really stand out and differentiate yourself. And also, as law firms, we're looking to you for ideas for the future to help us shape the business. So if you've got some ideas that are born of really, investigating some of these things, we'd love to hear more about it.
Great, so find something you love and focus in on it.
Absolutely.
Good. So how do law firms, or perhaps individual partners within law firms, win work in the future?
Yeah, so that is one area I don't think has changed, nor do I think it will change a lot in the future. When we go and win work, it's all about building a relationship with the client. So understanding clients, what are the pressures that they're facing, what are the changes that are coming down the pike that are going to impact their business, and being able to work alongside them and bring them answers and solutions. Some of the pressures that these in-house lawyers face are, reductions in budget, reductions in headcount, and yet, in an environment where there's more and more legislation, more and more compliance required. So anything that we can do to continue to work closely with them and help them with that, I think will continue to make us attractive to clients. So that relationship building skill, I think, will remain the same.
Great. So technology won't be able to take everything away from us. It will all still be about humans. Yes. Okay, good. So if clients could design the future legal market, if it were in their hands, what do you think they would want it to look like in 5 years' time?
So my view, and some people might disagree with this, I think clients just want to work with people who can help them solve their problems in a way that fits with their environment. So most clients are pretty agnostic about how we deliver the service. They just want to know that we've got their back, we understand the law, we can, tell them what they need to know before they need to know it, and we can help them deliver that without actually charging them for every 6 minutes. So I think the way we work with in-house counsel has got to be much more responsive. And the complaints that we hear from general counsel in particular is that law firms are still struggling to move away from the traditional mold. And I think that's what they want us to do.
Great. So you talked a little bit there about struggling to move away from the traditional mould. We're trying to implement change. I think it's fair to say law firms in general have a reputation of being fairly slow to implement change. What are the biggest challenges when you are trying to change a law firm?
So the biggest challenge by far is the mindset. And I think this is true not just in law firms, but because of the pace of change, I think, we really feel it a lot. So law firms have been incredibly successful for many, many years. The model has worked, and people have done very well out of it. Suddenly, we're in this world where things are changing so quickly. There's a lot of pressure from counsel, in-house counsel, for us to change and be more responsive to their needs. If you are at different ends of the spectrum in terms of how long you've been in the career, so if you're at the end of your partnership career, you are less likely to want to engage with this stuff, because the model has worked for you and you've done well, and your clients understand how you work and you understand how they work. So you have less incentive to start to engage with this change. But people at the middle of their career or just starting out really do have to think about, how do I use automation to help my clients? How do I use these different staff models, that are available to me? What else should I be looking at? So they can't afford not to engage with it, and they need to. Mindset's one big thing. The other big issue for us is, how do you finance it? Technology, artificial intelligence, these are not cheap. How do we pay for that when our business model is all about, at the end of the financial year, you distribute the profits to the shareholders. Now, we need significant investment over a significant period of time. We need to have enough resource that we can afford to try a couple of things that might not succeed. These are all very difficult problems for law firms to deal with today. I mean, if you're huge and you've got plenty of money, like the big accounting firms, for example, they can do it, and it doesn't matter. For us, this is a big board decision, whether we buy technology or not. So for me, those are the two.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us, Katherine, and giving us the benefit of your experience.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great.